Imagine your password was never stolen, your multi-factor authentication never failed, and you never clicked on a fake login page. You typed 6 characters into a real Microsoft website, and an attacker had your email for months. The security worked perfectly, but you let them in, and you had no idea that you did it. I'm Daniel Rodriguez from Visionary IT Security, and this is another episode of RepSec Wednesday. Today, we're talking about how a phishing kit called Kali 365 is bypassing multi-factor authentication without ever stealing a password. And if you want to learn more about how to defend your brand, your executives, your influencers, or just yourself from the attacks on the gray space, hit subscribe. Now let's get into today's story. On May 21st, the FBI launched a public service announcement alert number 1-052126 PSA. And this talks about a phishing platform called Kali 365, which was first seen in April 2026. This was sold by subscription, mostly through Telegram. And the FBI says that it lets attackers get Microsoft 365 access tokens and bypass multi-factor authentication without ever intercepting your credentials. So let's go over 3 terms so that this all makes sense. First term is multi-factor authentication. And this typically means that you have 2 proofs or more instead of 1 when you log in. So first things first, you have something that you know typically, which is your password. And then you have something that you have, which is typically your cell phone. And the idea is that a thief who steals one doesn't have the other. The second term is a token. And here's the one that not too many people explain. So when you log into Microsoft or really any platform and you pass your multi-factor authentication check, Microsoft doesn't make you do that every 30 seconds. It hands over a token to your device, which is a long string of characters. That means that this device already proved who it is, you can let it through. So it's kind of like a wristband when you're going inside of a venue or a club. So they check your ID once you get to the door, but once you get through, they just check your band throughout the night to make sure that, hey, you already showed your ID. So the token is what Kali 365 wants, not the password. They only want that wristband or the device code flow. So this is a real Microsoft feature with a legitimate purpose. Ever signed into an app on a smart TV? It shows you a code, you type it into your phone, and the TV logs in. That's device code flow. It exists because some devices don't have a keyboard. Now, the 4 steps. So 1 is the alert, an email that looks like a document sharing service that you typically use. It has a code and says, go to a Microsoft verification page and enter it. 2 is authorization. You go to a real Microsoft page, not a lookalike, the actual one, and you paste that code. And that's it. That's an attack because everything else that happens after you paste that code is just a consequence. Because what that code was actually asking was, should this device be allowed into your account? So once you pasted that, you said yes. You just didn't know what you were being asked, and the device just happened to not be yours. So now we're up to step 3, which is token theft. Microsoft hands the attacker's device an zero authentication token. And zero authentication is the standard that lets you click sign in with Google instead of making a new password. It's the plumbing of permission on the modern internet, basically. And then number 4 is persistence. So now they're in Outlook, Teams, or OneDrive, and they don't need the password. No multi-factor authentication problem ever again. The reason why Kali 365 works so well is because every piece of security advice you've ever heard of gets bypassed by it. So first things first, we have check the URL. You did, and it was Microsoft's. Don't reuse passwords. Didn't matter because they didn't need it. Turn on multi-factor authentication. You have it. It never fired because from Microsoft's side, nothing suspicious happened because a person went to a Microsoft page and approved the device just like normal, because that's a normal thing that normal people do every single day. And here's the part that scales this. The FBI says Kali 365 lowers the barrier of entry, giving less technical attackers AI-generated phishing lures, automated campaign templates, and real-time tracking dashboards showing who's taking the bait. So this attack isn't being done by actual hackers. It's being done by a product with a subscription, a dashboard, and features. And that token doesn't expire the way that a regular session does. The advisory uses the word persistent. That means your password reset doesn't kill it. Changing your multi-factor authentication doesn't kill it. The attacker's device is authorized and it stays authorized until somebody specifically goes in and revokes it, which means that somebody has to know where to look. The FBI's guidance here is very specific and it's aimed at whoever runs your systems. Let me translate it. The thing being abused is called device code flow. It exists for a real reason. It's how you sign in on a TV or a device with no keyboard. And almost nobody in a normal office needs it. Number one, the FBI says create a conditional access policy to block device code flow for all users with limited exceptions for required business processes. If you have an IT person, send them this advisory today. That's the fix. Number two, before you block it, the FBI says audit existing device code flow usage to identify legitimate dependencies. Find out who's actually using it so you don't break something. Number three, the advisory also recommends blocking authentication transfer policies, which stops users from moving authentication from a computer to a mobile device. Number four, if you can't block it completely, exclude emergency access accounts so you don't lock yourself out. And here's yours personally. If anyone ever sends you a code and asks you to enter it somewhere, stop. It does not matter how legitimate the page is. Real services send you codes to prove who you are. They never ask you to type a code that somebody else gave you. That's backwards, and backwards is a tell for this attack. We built multi-factor authentication to stop attackers from pretending to be you. Kali 365 doesn't pretend to be you. It asks you to let it in on a real page using real feature, and you do because nothing about it looks wrong. The question isn't whether you could spot a fake, it's whether you notice a real page being used against you. If someone hands you a code and points you somewhere to type it, that's an attack every time. Subscribe if this was useful and send it to whoever handles your email at work. Stay safe.